My beloved child, pause. Don't scroll for a second, because this moment is not about fear, it's about attention, and right now you have a choice. Ignore this like every other message you've seen today, or stay and actually listen, because sometimes life gives you small windows where clarity becomes possible, and most people miss them simply because they think it's just another random moment. Think about it. How many times have you felt that something in your life needs to change, yet you keep delaying it, telling yourself you'll deal with it later, and that later never really comes? It just keeps moving forward while you stay in the same place, and the truth is, nothing changes until you decide to pay attention, until you stop ignoring the things that matter. And maybe this right now is one of those moments where you can either continue scrolling, continue avoiding, continue staying comfortable, or you can pause, reflect, and ask yourself one honest question: what have you been ignoring that you know is important? What decision, what action, what step have you been putting off? Because deep down you already know the answer, you've always known it, you just haven't acted on it yet, and that's okay, but it won't stay okay forever, because opportunities to change don't wait endlessly, they pass quietly, and only those who are aware enough catch them in time. So this isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about proving to yourself that you can choose awareness over distraction, action over delay, and growth over comfort, because the next move you make, even if it's small, has the power to shift your direction, and right now you are standing at that exact point where a simple decision, stay or ignore, act or delay, can shape what comes next. So take a breath, stay here for a moment, and don't ignore what you already know you need to face. Pause again, because if you're still here, that means you didn't ignore it, and that already says something about you. It means a part of you is ready to listen, ready to understand, ready to face what you've been avoiding, and now the question becomes deeper. Not whether you will ignore this message, but whether you will ignore yourself after this, because awareness without action changes nothing. It just becomes another moment you remember but never use, and you've had those moments before. Times when you felt motivated, when you thought, this is it, now I'll change, but then slowly, distractions returned, comfort pulled you back, and everything went back to normal, and that's the pattern you have to break now, not tomorrow, not later, but now, because the difference between people who move forward and people who stay stuck is not luck, it's decision, it's the willingness to act even when it feels small, even when it feels uncertain, and right now you are standing in that exact place where your next step matters more than your past actions, because your past doesn't define your future unless you repeat it, and repeating it is a choice, just like changing it is a choice, and deep down you know what you need to do. You don't need another sign, you don't need another message, you just need to stop delaying and start doing, even if it's one small step. Because that one step breaks the cycle. It proves to you that you are not controlled by your habits, that you can take control, that you can move forward, and once you do that, something shifts inside you, not dramatically, but enough to build momentum, enough to make the next step easier, and the next, until what once felt difficult becomes natural. But it all depends on this moment, on whether you treat it like every other moment you ignored, or whether you actually use it, because moments like this don't come with noise. They come quietly, and only those who are paying attention recognize their value. So take a breath, stay focused, and don't just listen, decide, because the decision you make right now will either keep you where you are or start moving you towards something better, and that choice is completely yours. Deeper, because now it's no longer about the message, it's about you and what you choose to do after this, because understanding something is easy but applying it is where everything changes, and most people stop at understanding. They feel it, they agree with it, but they don't act on it, and that's why their life stays the same, not because they didn't know what to do, but because they didn't do what they knew. And this is the exact point where you separate yourself, not by thinking more, but by doing more, by taking that one step you've been delaying, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels uncertain, because discomfort is not a sign to stop, it's a sign that you are moving beyond your old limits, and that is where growth begins, not inside comfort, but just outside it, and the moment you step there, even slightly, you start building something powerful. Self-trust. Because every action you take tells your mind that you are serious, that you are not just listening, you are acting, and that builds confidence in a real way, not fake confidence, not temporary motivation, but solid belief in your ability to move forward, and once that belief starts growing, your mindset begins to change. Your decisions become stronger, your focus becomes clearer, and you stop getting pulled back so easily by distractions or doubts, because now you have proof that you can act, proof that you can change, proof that you are not stuck unless you choose to be, and that realization is powerful, because it puts control back in your hands. It reminds you that your direction is not fixed, it is shaped by your actions, by what you choose to do consistently, not once, but again and again, and yes, there will be moments where you feel like stopping, moments where your old habits try to pull you back, moments where it feels easier to quit than to continue, but that is exactly where your strength is tested. Not when things are easy, but when they are not, and if you can push through those moments, even slowly, even imperfectly, you become stronger than before, and that strength carries forward into everything you do, and over time, you will start noticing that you are no longer the same person who used to ignore what mattered. You are someone who faces it, who acts on it, who moves forward despite fear or doubt, and that is the real transformation, not something visible outside, but something solid inside you. Something that cannot be easily shaken, because it is built through your own actions, your own discipline, your own decisions, and from that point, everything else becomes possible, because once you change yourself, your path changes with you, your opportunities change with you, your future changes with you, and it all starts from this simple truth. Don't just understand what needs to be done, do it, even if it's small, even if it's not perfect, just start, and keep going. Because that is how everything begins. Take one more breath and stay with this moment, because now you are standing at a point where everything depends on consistency, not intensity, because starting gave you momentum, understanding gave you clarity, but continuing is what will truly change your life, and this is where most people fall back, not because they can't move forward, but because they stop too soon. They let distractions return. They let comfort take control again. And slowly they go back to the same patterns they once decided to break. And that is why you need to stay aware now more than ever, because growth is not a one-time decision, it is a daily choice, a repeated commitment to yourself, even when you don't feel motivated, even when things feel slow, even when results are not immediately visible, because real progress is often silent at first. It builds quietly in your habits, in your discipline, in your mindset, before it ever shows up in your results. And if you don't understand this, you might think nothing is changing and stop too early. But if you stay patient, if you keep taking those small steps, if you keep choosing action over delay, something powerful begins to happen. You become consistent, and consistency is what separates temporary change from permanent transformation, because when you act consistently, you no longer depend on mood, you no longer wait for motivation, you simply do what needs to be done. And that builds strength, real strength, the kind that keeps you moving forward even on difficult days. And as you continue like this, you will notice that your identity starts to shift. You are no longer someone who avoids challenges, you are someone who handles them. You are no longer someone who waits for the right moment, you create it through your actions. And this shift is everything, because once your identity changes, your behavior follows naturally, and success becomes a result of who you are, not something you struggle to reach. And along the way, you will also learn to handle setbacks differently. You won't see them as reasons to stop, you will see them as part of the process, as moments to learn, adjust, and keep moving, because no journey is perfect, but every step forward still counts, and every time you choose to continue instead of quitting, you strengthen your path even more. And now, as you stand here, you need to remind yourself of one simple truth. You have already started. You have already become aware. You have already taken steps, and that means you are capable of finishing what you started. You are capable of becoming the version of yourself you've been moving toward, but it will only happen if you stay consistent, if you protect your focus, if you keep choosing growth even when it's not easy. Because the future you want is not built in one moment, it is built in moments like this, where you decide to keep going instead of stopping, to stay disciplined instead of distracted, to move forward instead of going back. And that decision, repeated every day, is what will take you to the next level. So stay focused, stay grounded, and keep moving. Because what you are building now is not just progress, it is a new standard for your life, and once that standard is set, everything begins to rise with it. Take one more steady breath and stay fully present, because now you are entering the phase where your actions begin to define you completely, where what you do consistently starts shaping not just your results but your identity. And this is where real transformation locks in, because by now you've moved past awareness, past hesitation, and into action. But the real question is, will you maintain it? Will you protect it? Will you keep showing up even when it becomes routine? Because this is where most people lose their edge, not at the beginning, but in the middle. When things are no longer new, when the excitement fades and discipline is all that remains. And discipline is not loud, it's not emotional, it's quiet, it's repetitive, It's doing the same right things again and again even when no one is watching, even when there's no immediate reward, and that's what builds real power. Not quick bursts of effort but long-term consistency, and as you continue on this path, you'll start to notice something changing inside you, a sense of control, a sense of clarity, a sense that you are no longer drifting but directing your life with intention, and that feeling is powerful because it reminds you that you are not stuck unless you choose to be, that every step you take is proof of your ability to grow, and as this confidence builds, you begin to operate differently, you make decisions faster, you trust yourself more, you stop overthinking every move, and instead you focus on progress, not perfection, and this shift allows you to move forward with more strength and less doubt, and at the same time, you become more aware of distractions, more aware of what pulls you away from your path, and instead of falling into them unconsciously, you start choosing consciously, choosing what aligns with your goals, choosing what supports your growth, and leaving behind what slows you down. And this level of awareness is what separates temporary change from lasting success. Because now you not just reacting to life, you are actively shaping it, and as you keep going, you will also realize that growth is not about reaching a final destination, it's about becoming better continuously, about raising your standards, about not settling for less than what you know you are capable of, and this mindset keeps you moving forward, keeps you improving, keeps you evolving, and even when challenges appear, you will face them with a different attitude, not as obstacles but as opportunities to strengthen yourself further, because every challenge you overcome adds to your resilience, adds to your confidence, adds to your ability to handle more, and over time, this builds a version of you that is strong, focused, and unshakable, not because life becomes easy, but because you become stronger, and that is the real goal, not to avoid difficulty but to become capable of handling it. And as you stand in this moment, you need to recognize how far you've come, how much you've shifted, how much stronger your mindset has become, and understand that this is not the end, it is just the next level, and what you do from here will continue to shape everything ahead, so stay committed, stay disciplined, and most importantly, stay aware. Because awareness is what started this journey, and awareness is what will keep you growing, step by step, day by day, decision by decision, until the person you once wanted to become is no longer a goal, but your reality. Take one more deep breath and stay grounded, because now you've reached a level where your growth is no longer just internal. It starts reflecting in your reality, in your decisions, your behavior, and even how others respond to you, and this is where a new challenge appears, not starting, not continuing, but sustaining and expanding, because when you begin to level up, life begins to test whether you can truly handle that level, whether you can stay disciplined when things improve, whether you can stay humble when you see progress, whether you can stay focused when new opportunities and distractions come together. If you are not careful, it can slow your growth if you let it take control, and that is why you must stay intentional, always aware of your direction, always aligned with your goals, always focused on what truly matters, and as you move forward from here, you will start to understand something deeper. that success is not about reaching a point where everything is perfect. It is about becoming someone who can handle any situation with clarity, control, and confidence, and that is what you are building right now, not just better results, but a stronger version of yourself, someone who doesn't break under pressure, someone who doesn't get lost in distractions, someone who continues to move forward regardless of circumstances. And that kind of strength is rare. It is built through consistency, through awareness, through discipline, repeated over time. And now that you are here, you have to protect it. You have to continue it, you have to grow it, because what you have built so far is valuable, and what you build next depends on how you move from this point forward. So take a breath. Stay focused, and remind yourself that this journey is still ongoing, that every decision you make matters, and that you are fully capable of reaching even higher levels, as long as you stay committed to the path you have chosen, because the power is not outside you, it is in your actions, your mindset, and your consistency. And as long as those stay strong, nothing can truly stop your progress. Take a moment and slow everything down again, because now you are stepping into a stage where your mindset becomes your greatest strength or your biggest weakness, and everything depends on how you manage it, because by now you've built awareness, taken action, stayed consistent, and started seeing change. But the real question is, can you control your thoughts when things don't go your way? Can you stay focused when doubt tries to come back? Can you keep moving forward when results slow down? Because this is where your mental strength is tested the most, not when everything is working, but when it feels like nothing is changing despite your effort, and in those moments, most people start questioning themselves, they start overthinking, they start losing belief, and slowly they stop, not because they failed, but because they doubted too much, and that is exactly what you must avoid now, because doubt is natural, but letting it control your actions is a choice, and you have already come too far to let that happen. You have already proven to yourself that you can act, that you can grow, that you can stay consistent, and that proof is stronger than any temporary feeling of doubt, and this is where you need to trust your process, trust your effort, trust the direction you've chosen, even if results are not immediately visible, because real progress often happens quietly, beneath the surface. Building strength, building resilience, building clarity before it shows outwardly. And if you can stay patient during this phase, if you can keep going without constant validation, you unlock a new level of discipline, a level where you are no longer dependent on motivation or quick results. You are driven by purpose, by commitment, by the understanding that what you are building takes time, and as you hold on to that mindset, something powerful happens. You become stable, not easily shaken by external situations, not easily distracted by temporary emotions, but steady, focused, and in control. And that stability is what allows you to move forward even in uncertain situations, because life will not always be clear. There will be times when you don't know exactly what's next, but if your mindset is strong, you will still take steps forward, you will still adapt, you will still find a way. And that ability to keep moving despite uncertainty is what separates those who succeed from those who stop. And now, as you stand here, you need to realize that your biggest battle is no longer outside, it is inside, in your thoughts, in your reactions, in your ability to stay focused and not let negativity pull you back. And once you learn to control that, once you learn to stay calm, clear, and consistent regardless of the situation, you reach a level where very little can stop you, because you are no longer reacting emotionally, you are responding with awareness and control, and that is real power, not loud, not visible, but deeply rooted within you, guiding your actions, strengthening your decisions, and keeping you aligned with your path. So stay steady, stay focused, and remember that your thoughts are not your enemy unless you let them control you, and right now, you have the awareness and strength to choose better, to think better, and to keep moving forward no matter what. Take a final pause and bring your focus completely here, because now you are stepping into the stage where everything comes together, your awareness, your actions, your discipline, and your mindset, and this is where you begin to operate with intention, not confusion, because you are no longer the same person who used to ignore what mattered. You are someone who notices, decides, and acts, and that shift changes everything. Because now your life is not being controlled by habits or distractions. It is being directed by you, by your choices, by your consistency, and at this level, the biggest challenge is not starting or even continuing, it is maintaining clarity while expanding your vision, because once you begin to grow, your goals also grow, your expectations rise, and with that comes the need for even stronger focus, because without focus, growth can become scattered, and scattered effort leads to slow progress. And that is why you must stay aligned with what truly matters to you. Not what looks attractive in the moment, not what others are doing, but what actually moves you forward, and this requires a higher level of discipline, the discipline to say no to distractions, the discipline to stay committed to your path even when other options appear easier or more exciting. And as you build this level of control, you start operating differently, you make decisions with clarity, you use your time wisely, you focus your energy on what truly matters, and that is when your progress becomes more powerful, more direct, and more meaningful, and at the same time, you begin to understand that growth is not just about achieving more, it is also about becoming more aware, more patient, more resilient, because the stronger you become internally, the easier it is to handle external challenges, and this balance is what allows you to keep moving forward without burning out, without losing direction, without getting overwhelmed, and as you continue on this path, you will start. Because the stronger you become internally, the easier it is to handle external challenges, and this balance is what allows you to keep moving forward without burning out, without losing direction, without getting overwhelmed, and as you continue on this path, you will start seeing the bigger picture more clearly. You will realize that every small step you took, every moment you chose discipline over comfort, every time you stayed focused instead of distracted, it all added up to this. Now take a deeper breath and truly realize where you stand, because this stage is no longer about effort alone, it's about mastery, about understanding yourself at a level where your actions, your thoughts, and your direction all begin to align naturally, and this is where most people either rise or fall, not because they lack ability, but because they stop refining themselves. They stop paying attention to the small details that make a big difference, and that is why you must stay sharp. You must stay aware of not just what you do, but how you do it, because the way you think, the way you respond, the way you manage your time and energy, all of it shapes your results, and at this level, small improvements create powerful outcomes, because you are no longer starting from zero, you are building on a strong foundation, and that foundation gives you the ability to move faster, to think clearer, and to act with more precision. And as you continue, you will notice that your confidence becomes quieter but stronger. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, because you already know what you are capable of, and that self-awareness keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, and it protects you from distractions that once seemed important but now feel unnecessary. And this is where true control begins, not control over everything around you, but control over yourself, your reactions, your decisions, your direction, and once you have that, very little can throw you off your path. Because even when challenges appear, you don't panic, you analyze, you adapt, and you move forward, and that ability to stay calm and focused under pressure is what separates average from exceptional, because anyone can move forward when things are easy, but only those with strong control can keep moving when things become difficult, and as you strengthen this ability, you also begin to trust yourself more deeply, not just in small decisions, but in bigger ones, because you've built a track record of showing up, of staying consistent, of not giving up when things got tough, and that history becomes your strength. It reminds you that you can handle what comes next, no matter how uncertain it may seem, and at the same time, you become more intentional with your growth. You don't chase everything, you focus on what truly matters, you invest your time and energy wisely, and that focus accelerates your progress even more. And now, as you stand here, you need to understand that this level is not the end. It is just a higher beginning, a place where your potential starts expanding in ways you may not have imagined before, and what you do from here will define how far you go, because now you are not just moving forward, you are shaping your path with clarity, strength, and purpose, and as long as you stay committed to that, as long as you continue refining yourself, improving yourself, and pushing your limits with awareness, there is no limit to what you can achieve, because the real power has never been outside, it has always been within you, and now you are finally learning how to use it. Now pause once more and recognize this moment for what it truly is. A turning point where everything you've built so far begins to transform into something even deeper, something more powerful, because now you are no longer just growing, you are evolving, and evolution means you are not only improving your actions but upgrading your entire way of thinking, your perspective on life, your understanding of challenges, and your approach to success. And this is where a new level of awareness unlocks, where you stop seeing things as obstacles and start seeing them as feedback, as signals guiding you toward better decisions, stronger habits, and clearer direction. And this shift is what gives you an advantage, because instead of reacting emotionally, you begin to respond intelligently, with control, with patience, with purpose, and as you operate like this, your progress becomes more strategic, more efficient, and more sustainable, because you are no longer wasting energy on things that don't matter. You are focused, aligned, and intentional, and at this stage, your biggest responsibility is to protect your mindset, because your mindset is now your greatest asset. It is what keeps you grounded when things go wrong. It is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. It is what keeps you clear when confusion tries to take over. And protecting it means being careful about what you allow into your thoughts, what you focus on, what you give your energy to, because everything you consume and everything you think influences your direction, and if you stay aware of that, you can maintain control over your path no matter what happens around you, and as you continue forward, you will also begin to notice that your vision becomes sharper. You start seeing not just what you want next, but why you want it, and that clarity gives your actions more meaning, more strength, because now you are not just chasing results. You are building a purpose-driven path, and that kind of path keeps you clear when confusion tries to take over, and protecting it means being careful about what you allow into your thoughts, what you focus on, what you give your energy to, because everything you consume and everything you think influences your direction, and if you stay aware of that, you can maintain control over your path no matter what happens around you, and as you continue forward, you will also begin to notice that your vision becomes sharper. You start seeing not just what you want next, but why you want it, and that clarity gives your actions more meaning, more strength, because now you are not just chasing results, you are building a purpose-driven path, and that kind of path keeps you motivated even when things get difficult. Because it's not based on temporary feelings, it's based on something deeper, something more solid, and as you keep evolving like this, you will reach a point where growth becomes part of who you are. Not something you have to force, but something that happens naturally through your habits, your mindset, and your decisions. And that is when you truly step into your power, because you are no longer dependent on external factors, you are driven from within, and that inner drive is what sustains long-term success. And now, standing at this level, you must remember one thing: you didn't reach here by accident, you reached here through awareness, through discipline, through consistency. And if you continue with the same focus, the same intention, and the same commitment, there is no limit to how far you can go, because you are no longer the person who once hesitated, you are someone who acts, who adapts, who grows, and who continues moving forward no matter what, and that is the mindset that turns potential into reality. Step by step, decision by decision, moment by moment. Of clarity so steady it feels unbreakable. Stay. Breathe slowly. Observe gently. Something deeper